My God. It was just
What?
like boat apocalypse. Go ahead.
No, what happened?
I took like right at the beginning of the fucking goddamn episode, I did like $4,000 in refunds. Like I was like, what the fuck, man? Like I was like trying to like be, and I just like wanted to fucking throw my phone across the fucking room, like all from the same day, like Saturday. Like, I mean, I just literally did $4,000 in refunds, like in 20 minutes. It was like one after another. I was like, what in backwards?
Oh, if you've done 4,000 on refunds, I don't want to even look at our refunds.
well, because like they changed the weather. Like it's not that it's bad, it's just like spotty like every fucking day. And now because the tropics are fucking, or the Atlantic basin's heating up. There's like two little shitty systems, and there's one off so in front of Texas, and it's like no big deal, but it just it's fucking like July 1st, like on cue. Whatever.
Cool.
No big deal. I'm not giving anybody their money back. Fuck you, dude. Once you rent a boat with me, we're done. Fuck you. You can have a gift certificate. I'm out of here. I'm taking all the money and leaving. I'll be like, hey, Chenmark, you owe fucking $250,000 worth of refunds out there, and I'm out of here. Don't look at my books. Just give me the cash and leave. I got a deal for you guys. Anyway.
Well, for this episode, we're gonna do a two-part episode.
Sweet.
AMA, we're gonna do AMA, and so we went on Facebook. We asked everybody in our Facebook group, Watersport Tours and Activity Entrepreneurs, if you're not in it, join it, because you get a lot of free information. I mean, this is like the biggest and brightest people in the industry are in this group, and they're sharing all of their advice. Like, honestly, it's like the best. I mean, people pay for this type of advice. I mean, you could start a water sport company with those guys. Yeah. But anyways, we asked everybody what they would like to, we asked for some questions they would like us to answer on the show. And we had a handful of people respond, and we're going to talk about them.
It's like, Kevin, do you want to be my best friend? Well, like all of these are just all, Kevin, do you want to be my friend? So weird. And the answer is yes, guys, I do. Come on by, bring a plate. We'll do a little, what do they call that? Potluck at my house.
Potluck
My wife
dinner.
is gone for like 2 weeks, so I just need food. So can you guys just send food to 6945 Leisure Street, Navarre, Florida, 32566. I'm like incapable of cooking, taking care of myself. I'm an idiot.
I would love a home cooked meal. Yeah.
What do we got?
Okay.
What do we have going on?
Yeah. So let's let me pick a couple out here. And all right. So the first one is from James Garrettson. And James Garrettson, as you may not know, he is the Tiger King, James Garrettson. He was on one of our episodes, the jet ski meme guy.
Second most famous water sport guy in the group.
Second most famous water sport guy. His question is, well, he just says, talk about the fly-by-nights thinking they can come to town and take over.
Or the boat ramp renters. Why? Everyone's always mad. Everyone's always like mad at like the fucking guys that are like doing shit like at a boat ramp.
Oh yeah.
Like I just barely like think about it. It's don't get me wrong. It's like they're a good fall guy. They're a good fall guy when we go to the county meetings and shit to be like, it's the bad boat renter guys. It's the boat ramp guys that are on Get Your Guide. And like, I mean, realistically, I feel like we missed the mark on that. Like, that's what we should do. Like, we should start the Uber of boat renters, and like, because sometimes I feel like the livery, like we're the taxi guys, right? Now, I don't agree with anything that I'm saying right now. I'm just saying for like a business model, you know what I mean? I want to be like what was the guy's the CEO? He was like the tech bro of Uber. And he got in all sorts of shit, man. Like he got in tons of stuff. They had like there was like a Hulu series on him where
he was a mess. I forget his name.
But he got into a bunch of trouble. But man, I just feel like I missed the mark on that. Like we should have done that. We like get your boat or boat setter. No one's really done it right because their shit's really clunky. And it doesn't really. Maybe we should bring somebody. Maybe we should bring representatives from those websites on there, and then fucking.
We should. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
And we'll be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing, man?"
Well, James does this topic. I think this year I'm hearing more about than I've ever had. about the boat ramp renters. And I think the reason why it's so big this year is because the boating industry last year was huge. People were making money renting boats and renting things, especially in Florida. Talking with, our good friend Jason from Extreme H2O, he's selling a lot of boats right now. And he said that, man, everybody he's selling to, they are looking to monetize these boats. They're looking to rent them out and get my boat and things like that. And it's a huge problem. And what sucks about it is that those guys are going to be okay because they're not doing things the way that they need to. It's the legitimate operators that are going to get the flack from it when they rent a boat out to someone, they don't do the proper orientation or have the proper insurance, the person gets hurt or killed, and then city council or some other municipality, they're going to bitch and complain, and then they're going to rope us all in together.
The problem is that like these guys are semi doing it right. You know what I mean? They're like going out there, they're getting insurance, and then they're running their Facebook ads, and then that's like their fucking like claim to fame. I'm doing things right. Like except that you're launching at a public park. Like that's, you know what I mean? That's where we're not doing it right. You know what I mean? Like you don't have do you really have a BTR? Do you have a business tax receipt? Are you going through it? Do you have employees? You know what I mean? Are you just like some slapdick that's like, well, got insurance and set up a website and, are doing things right? And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't, it's not a bemoan anybody, anything. Like I've got a couple businesses and I've thought about buying like a fucking, like an exotic car rental. And then just like, that'd be like a really dope write-off, you know what I mean? And then blocking the thing out except for like 1 week. And then I just have like a really sick write-off and have like a Ferrari or something, right? And then I just got to rent it like a couple of weeks out of the year to make the nut if I wanted to do that, because that's what's happening. People are buying boats and then they're like, guess how you can make the payment? Oh, we can put it on Get Your Guide or Get My Boat or Boat Setter. I can do a bareboat fucking charter, or I get my 6-pack license and then I'll drop it in at the fucking ramp. And it's like the same thing that's creating a bit of the shortage in the housing market. Everybody and their brother is buying a fucking short-term rental. And then, so this isn't like a business that you have. You don't have employees. You don't have the cost of fucking of marina rent. You don't, like, this is just like a fucking fun hobby for you and the other 50 slapdicks that are out there, doing it. And like, no offense to you, but I'm sorry. Like I could give a shit less that if you bought a fucking boat, got your 6-pack license because you use your fucking boat's numbers and, and now you're out there fucking doing trips out of a fucking park or out of your fucking backyard or, whatever it is. And now the whole market's like flooded with, 30, at least in our market. But then they start shutting shit down. That's when they're like, yep, well, let's start, shutting this down, shutting that. I just saw something in Destin. They put like, everybody was up in arms because the bank owned the lot. You know what I'm talking about, over at John's Bayou? No. It was all over like Facebook. So the bank owned the lot where the boat ramp was. And then they put up those like plastic, like, so people can't turn around in there. So if you don't know how to like get one in and get one out, then like you can't do a turnaround in there and people can't splash their boats. And so the problem is people are using public utilities to run their business. And like, it's always been a fucking problem here. You know what I mean? Like from Crab Island and the giant structures and shit and just like starting fucking businesses.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing. Website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Watersport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show. I know James is probably thinking, maybe we'll have something, intelligent to say about the problem, but I don't see a solution, honestly, unless there is like some heavy regulation or the cities or counties go after the websites that sell. Now, they did go after Uber. They required Uber drivers and Uber to pay, its fair share and taxes and they were, Uber and Airbnb have a ton of lobbyists and policymakers to work with city governments to come up with laws to make sure they operate fairly and safely and within the ordinances. I think that kind of has to happen, and it will happen eventually. I mean, I'm surprised, like even with Trip Shock, I mean, we do our due diligence and make sure that the businesses that sign up have insurance and things like that. But I know a lot of my competitors, they don't. You could literally buy a boat, put it on there, and lie on everything because it's all peer-to-peer. It's a C2C type model. So there's nobody in between verifying. And I could be speaking out. Maybe there could be some very light verification, but the crap that I see on there, I mean, it's people literally buying boats, in the private market and throwing it on there. But I don't see an end to this until the city governments or the counties actually do something about it. They have actual code enforcement people going after not just the operators, but the sites that are like, if code enforcement called me and said, hey, we want to work together to curb illegal charters, let's do it. I mean, I would be happy to participate in that, if that means that they're going to actually do it. But we found out here, in our local area, that they really don't have a system set up to go after them. There should be people at boat ramps.
Well, right. Well, then they just go after us more, and then
they just go after the
more
legitimate.
more regulated. And then next thing you know, I got some fucking asshole in his polo shirt.
I think that's
white
the
New
bigger
Balance
problem.
Is knocking on my door,
I think that's the bigger problem, is that they don't go after them. They come after us, and they keep putting more and more ordinances on us to try to stem a problem that is not under our control. But so
meanwhile, Captain Willie just dropping his boat in the fucking water and going on his fucking trips, like, ha. look at that guy, man. It's like they raise taxes on him and fucking having a whole new slew of things that you get to do every month. And it's like they're making it safer for the waterways. And meanwhile, some guy's on like a piece of fucking wood in driftwood, fucking in a paddle and charging $500. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
And nobody, because it's like this is just the same thing, right? So it's like, well, I've even heard a cop tell me this. Like if like they'll let criminals go. And they let all these fucking, meth heads out there because they can't make a fucking penny off of them. But they regulate us because we know we got money. You get pulled over drunk driving in your 97 Ford Ranger. They're like, yeah, just get home safe, kid. But if they pull you over in a fucking, a 2022 Escalade, they're going to hit you with every single fucking thing and put you on probation, do everything they can because they know they can get the money out of you. And this is how, like, and so this is the bad good part, right? So it's like at one point, it's like, yeah, I got to deal with the fly-by-nights and the, John, the boat renter guy, like out of the fucking park, fucking it up. But then you have the overreaching government that once they get their hands in, it's like, son of a bitch, I'd just rather have the guy down the street renting his boat in the parking lot than have to have 18 meetings to go, because I'm renting a fucking pontoon boat legally.
And another problem too, like if you do see an illegal charter now, if you see an illegal charter with a person that doesn't have his captain license, you can call the Coast Guard. However, if there is someone that has his captain's license but not his BTR or insurance or anything, then there is no, you can call the county or the city and they may investigate it, but they're probably not. Like, there's just not enough mechanics within the government to govern the problem, and sometimes it's just not something that they care enough about. They rather just put more ordinances on the ones that they can get their, they can pay.
So the more we bitch about it, guys,
businesses.
The more we bitch about it, the more you fucking, it's like, you know what I mean? Like once you invite them in, and I would rather deal with the guy down the road. And it depends on when you talk to me. I get frustrated with local government. Yeah. So
until the governments, until you can have that conversation with your city or county or whatever, about the problem and come up with a solution together. Otherwise you're just kind of hurting yourself by flaming the fire. I agree 100% with you, because it just brings more eyes on it. But I will say locally here, like the county looks like they are like they have a code enforcement person they hired, and they are going to be investigating illegal operations. But we're one of probably very, very few that have that ability. I mean, other parts of Florida, I guarantee if there's an illegal run business, a rental business or tour business, they have no idea even how to report them, and that's why they're getting away with it.
I know,
and
like
then you
Miami,
got the websites.
Shut down ramps. They'll just shut down the boating ramps at certain times. So it's like there's only so much that they can do. There's only so much that they can service. So like I just saw somebody made a post on Facebook about something about the Miami. In Miami, they were shutting the boat ramp down at like 8 a.m. and then that was it.
But would you say our websites like Facebook Marketplace and Get My Boat, are they responsible? I know they play a role in helping them book, but honestly, I don't think those sites should necessarily be held accountable.
I mean, it's like his Craigslist, you know what I mean? Like if is there a fucking newspaper where they have like an ad and like I don't think the websites like, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. Like the worst,
because there's
legitimate
the worst
thing is government getting involved in my business. Like
there's legitimate businesses on Get My Boat and Boat Setter too that are. So it's, even if let's say that those sites ask the question, like, do you have your BTR? They just kind of went into more details. These people would lie on them. Like they just would put it on there until they get caught. And then, I mean, are those sites that have hundreds of thousands of listings, are they really going to go to each single one and say, upload your BTR and upload this? Like, are they going to really validate it? Hell no. So, no. I mean, it's really something that, like I said, until the local governments actually have a task force put together and a tip line and all that stuff, they got to take it seriously. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsor, Boat Test 101. Boat Test 101 is FWC and NASBA accredited online provider of both temporary certificate and full card.
Yeah, guys, if you can't tell, Greg takes it super seriously. Have you been taking voice lessons, man? You sound so pro, dude. So yeah, Destiny Water Adventures uses Boat Test 101. When somebody shows up super late and they go, hey, or just on time for their tour, their jet ski or their boat, and they're like, we have to take a boat test. And then we have to break out the paper and they have to sit there for 30 minutes. They miss half their time. They get late. You get bad reviews. When you guys can just SMS text them a link, email them to your Boat Test 101 affiliate link. They take the test online on their way there. They don't have to sit out in the hot sun. They take the test on their way or before they get there. They email you their ID and their boat test. They're good to go right when they walk up to the door. They sign your paperwork and on the water they go. It's easy breezy.
They pay an industry-leading commission of 30%, and their boating tests are $1 cheaper than the competitors at $8.99 a test. No contract to you, and there's no cost. So you can get started right away and start making some money and providing a better experience for your guests. BoatTest101.com. Again, BoatTest101.com, and tell them that the AWG guys sent you.
That's right. Take your boating test as serious as Greg took this commercial and get your asses over to BoatTest101.com and sign up today.
All right, let's get back to the show.
And look, man, there's only, when it gets right down to it, it's like, look, you got Florida is like the only state on like in the country that's got parasail laws on the books. People still get killed, man. Like You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. You can put speed zones all over the place, and people are still going to speed. You know, it's like just because you put this shit into action doesn't mean like, you know, it brings an end to stuff. It can slow it down, but it's not going to like, you're always going to have this. And people are always going to do this shit because it's the water, dude. At the end of the day, you could go launch it down into a whole nother county. And if there's a meeting or gathering place, what Michigan was it, like Jobby Nooner? What was that bullshit on Lake Michigan? They had like Jobby Nooners. It's a big thing where everybody wraps up their boats and gets drunk. But people drive their boats from like everywhere and anywhere, from all sorts of different counties.
I do think that people who do stuff like that, you know, illegally, they run their businesses, you know, under the radar. It's not a long-term thing. Eventually, you know, they will cease to exist. You know, just because it's a hard business, they don't know how to. You know, they don't know how to actually properly run a livery or a charter.
So
business.
The answer, we're at 25 minutes on this question. So James, the answer, don't worry about those guys, man. You're the jet ski king of marathon, buddy. Like, and I think that's like, I think that's the advice I give everybody when you're like, again, you know what I mean? You're worried about your competition and whether that guy's in a park or whether that guy's, you know, a $10 million operation in a marina. It's focus on your business, focus on keeping your people safe, do the best job you can. And all the, you know, the fly by nights and the Johnny comes through the ramps, like they really shouldn't. If we're hurting right now in 2022, what do you think they're doing with their fucking top of funnel Facebook ad campaign? Like, you know what I mean? They're not doing great. I promise you, they're not doing as good as the rest of us are. So in a nutshell, fuck them. Don't worry about them. They'll be fine. They'll deal with them. They'll be out of business before you. So,
all right. Thanks, James, for the question. All right.
Thanks for being you, James.
Jamie Stores from Chenmark. Ugh. What do you see as being?
What do you think the best wired phone to use in my house is? What dial-up phone system do you guys use?
What's the old Motorola or Singular? What's the best one?
Should I buy the Razr flip phone or a Nokia BlackBerry? Does Nokia even make a BlackBerry? I don't know.
Rotary
phone,
phone, or
yes.
What's the other one? What's the old ones from like Alexander Graham Bell? Like what the heck?
Oh, like the fucking one you hold next to your head. What is the best way to get trolled on LinkedIn? All right. So what do you see as being the largest regulatory hurdles coming the next 1 to 5 years for the boat tour, water sports? And like, I think we just, you know, it's kind of like ties into the last one. And I really want to grab this one because it's like our conversation with the Coast Guard, and it's going to be bareboat charter reform. They've got 100%. To do something. They've got to do something about the bareboat charters. Like it is so fucking weird and wonky and makes no sense. And it's just the most weirdest bullshit. And they have to come up with some clarity. What I would really like to see is a 6-pack captain and a not certified boat, 6 passengers, 6-pack captain, done. Charter for hire. Get rid of the bareboats bullshit. Stop making it so fucking ambiguous and weird, and just like you have a 6-pack. You're on an uninspected vessel, 6 people, captain's license, 6 or less. That's it. Inspected vessel, whatever that boat is badged for. If it's badged for 20 people, master captain's license, 20 people, done. But I think that's going to be the biggest regulatory change coming. Is going to be at the federal level, and when we're done, like no more. We don't need any more fucking weird regulations from counties or cities or Coast Guard or we got plenty of regulations.
So it sounds like it's moving in the Florida House with this law that everyone needs to be taking the Florida Boaters Test. There's no age requirement or age restriction. So. You know, we see that coming. That's not going to be a hurdle. It's just going to cause a little more time at the at your window when doing
potentially.
check-ins.
I mean, there's a ton of like online places there you can get, you can go online and get your test and just be done with it. And, like, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. People need to be educated, and, that getting your boat license in like 5 minutes, and that's all the education you need. And then off you go.
Do you see any major changes from an environmental impact, like maybe requiring engines to be built a certain way or emissions?
I don't know. I mean, so it's like, without getting like into the political sphere of things, like, when we talk about like, oh yeah, like we're gonna reduce our carbon footprint, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get like too far in the left field, but like, I mean, at what point, it's like, are we gonna have all electric freight trucks? I mean, I guess we'll call them like not freight trucks. What the hell? I'm like brain farting. I haven't eaten today. What, the goddamn semi truck? Jesus, semi trucks. So are you gonna have all electric semi trucks? Are you gonna have all electric, shipping vessels? Like, how far out? Like, when people are talking about like, oh yeah, $10 a gallon, and we're gonna reduce our, we're getting to like renewable energy. And I mean, everybody that's like championing for this, like, don't get me wrong, it's like a good thing, but at the same point in time, like, that really doesn't help our economic prospects at all. And I'm not like a huge, like, don't get me wrong, I do have my GED, but it would to me, it would seem as though like that's not going to help cost of goods, or it's going to help our, inflation, or any of these things. So when you talk about that, like, obviously, like, I gasped because I'm like, $10 a gallon gas, or having to change the entire model of my business to like electric boats, or who knows how. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know a mechanic in the world who knows how to work on that shit.
Yeah, I was expecting to see more discussion about, the environmental impact of boat engines, or gasoline engines, but and diesel, but I haven't really heard or seen anything. No push on that yet. They're trying to go after the automobiles first, then they'll go to boats next. But
I mean, what, like, again, so like what would you need like a brand? I have no idea. Like, how would you?
There's very few boats that even, I mean, I've never even seen an electric, like,
cruise ships, shipping, you know what I mean? Shipping vessels, like, how are we going to, I have no idea, man. Like, it's like saying like, hey man, we're just going to change our infrastructure. We're like going to get rid of highways next. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like Mr. like, let's go drill in the Alaskan National Wildlife Reserve, but I'm also kind of like, hey man, before we do that, before we go to the $10 a gallon gas, like, maybe we should solve for exactly how we're still going to get goods and services, and how we're going to get products as a trade, like trade, global trade. I don't know. Kevin, running for president 2024. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it seems like they better figure something out quick. Vote for me, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, regulatory. I see the bareboat charters. They're gonna be moving to, if you want to drive a boat, but other than that, like, so I guess it goes back to the same what we kind of talked about in the last show. Things, if livery and people want to get on the water, there's like renting boats and renting jet skis, like as gas goes through the roof, and staffing goes up. And if you're really talking about getting rid of like gasoline motors, or being harder parts to come by, as much as it would pain me to say that, like moving into a it's not necessarily regulatory, but what the market's going to be, that we're going to have to adapt to big changes in the market in the next 5 years, and then whatever regulations are going to come with that. Because right now it's based around people renting their own personal boats, doing bareboat charters, and then people driving boats without education or having a spotter. In the state of Florida is like saying like, this is what's causing the accidents.
Going back to the first question, regulatory, I could see sites like Get My Boat having more regulation. maybe not on a national level, but maybe on a local or even state level, seeing, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if even, Trip Shock, we get a call or something about us, how we onboard and sell this product, from a safety perspective. So that's quite possible too. I mean, right now it's like, anything gets that big, like Airbnb. I mean, Airbnb, like I said, they have huge teams that just basically battle and lobby local governments, over things. I mean, Vacasa, all those property management, because their clients, the hosts, they're not paying their bed tax. So, I mean, and that's the same thing with like Get My Boat. Are those people on Get My Boat, are they paying sales tax? Hell no. Like, are those websites somewhat responsible for it? That's a good question.
I think it's all coming to an end, man. Like, we're just going to be like our AI overlords. We'll just like fucking plug in and, you know what I mean? We'll go like flying through like Avatar world or fucking whatever. And, that nobody will be renting jet skis anymore when the virtual reality
metaverse comes. When the metaverse comes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. We'll just rent some jet skis in the metaverse. All right.
Fuck a jet ski, dude. It'll be like a flying jet ski, man. You know what I mean? That's what I want to get into.